Now, the Eastern Cape Department of Education is investigating allegations of sexual abuse against educators at JS Skenjana Secondary School in Dutywa in the Eastern Cape. Allegations surfaced over the weekend through a viral video by a former pupil at the school who alleged that many girls had fallen pregnant by their male teachers. This is not the first time a school in Dutywa has been embroiled in sexual abuse allegations. Back in 2023, Bonkolo Senior Secondary School was also in the news amid allegations of teachers sleeping with and impregnating learners. For more on this, we are joined by the Minister of Basic Education, Siviwe Gwarube. Minister, thank you for joining us for this very, very important issue.
Good morning, Leanne, and good morning to your viewers.
Perhaps let's start with an update on whether or not the investigative team has gone to the school, where the investigations are, if in fact it is happening, into this probe of allegations of sexual abuse against female pupils.
Yeah. Leanne, firstly, I think just to take a step back to say, number one, I mean, schools are meant to be places of safety, teaching and learning. And educators have a role to play in protecting learners, and we have to root out those educators who are predators in our schools. That's why we have SABC in place, the South African Council of Educators, whose role it is to make sure that educators are vetted and that they are cleared to be able to work with children. That's also why we are working with the Department of Justice, with Minister Kubai, so that we can make sure that the sexual offenders register and the child protection register is updated, so that any teacher who is found guilty of these things doesn't then simply resign from the post and pop up in another school in another province to do the same thing. So with regards to what has happened in the Eastern Cape, the MEC has swiftly suspended 7 educators in one particular school, but he has also briefed me that there are 4 schools that these allegations have now been made, and the teams are investigating. He's also assured me that what they've done is that they have made sure that the investigators are not people who are coming from the same district, so that to make sure that there's a level of objectivity in the investigation that is happening. Yeah. So that's the one leg of it, Leanne, where we are investigating as the employer, investigating the allegations of misconduct. However, I've also escalated the matter to Minister Kachalia, because there's a criminal element here and there's a criminal offense that has been committed. Because, again, no educator should be engaging in any kind of, essentially, some of these things are statutory rape, Leanne. Yeah. And so charges we've reported the matter to the South African Police Service. I've escalated the matter to Minister Kachalia, because there has to be a criminal investigation that must take place. The reason why this is important, Leanne, is because it's one thing to discipline a teacher who is suspected of this kind of behavior. But if you don't get them convicted or prosecuted, it means that then we don't get to, one, flag them as a risk in terms of not being able to work with children, and it means that we can't get them onto that register. It means that simply they can leave and go to another school and do the same thing. So it's so important, and I am imploring parents in these affected communities to work with us so that we can make sure that these people end up being prosecuted and that there's a criminal charge that is laid against them so that they don't do this to other children again.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that there is a criminal investigation, but these stories are incredibly disturbing, because we're hearing stories of young girls that are being forced into sexual activities, many of them being impregnated. Those that refuse to do this have been punished or told to leave the schools. Some of them basically have been saying that this has been going on for such a long time. These teachers have been reported and yet nothing happens, and they continue to be employed by the school. I mean, these are just some of the allegations. There was a team that visited on Monday, if I'm not mistaken. Have you had any form of report back as yet into this? Because the fact that they have been spoken about, nothing has been done, this is very worrying and very, very disturbing. I mean, 7 educators stand accused of sexual abuse on this.
And this is exactly why I'm saying it's not enough for the department in the Eastern Cape to simply investigate these things from a misconduct point of view, and that we have to make sure that these things are reported by the police. And that's why I've asked the Minister of Police to really get the provincial commissioner really involved in this, because Leanne, you raise an important point, and this is a behavioral, a systemic problem where teachers in some schools think that the very learners that they teach are available to them to exploit, to be predators to them. And unless a teacher ends up behind bars and barred from ever working with children again, we're not going to win this fight. And that's why I'm saying one of the things I really want to do when I do eventually go down to the Eastern Cape, to say that I really implore the parents that let's work together, let's submit the evidence so that we can get these people in jail, prosecute a successful prosecution, because then we can make sure that they will never ever work with children again. Because the problem you raised about a lot of the former learners who've also tagged me on social media, they raise a point that this has been going on for years. Yeah. And the problem with that is that if a teacher is only simply disciplined from an HR point of view, there's no requirement for them to no longer be at a school. There's no requirement for them to be behind bars or to be barred from ever working with children again. And that's why I'm saying we have to change the way we should deal with allegations of sexual misconduct in schools. It's not just an HR issue, it's a criminal matter. And so the way in which we deal with it as the department is we have to involve the police. Otherwise, these people simply stay in the system, rock up in other schools, and keep doing the same thing.
And this is a big problem, it really is. But I'm really worried about the young girls that have come forward and that have gone through a lot in this time, and who knows how many they are, because I imagine there were a lot before them that have gone through this because nothing has been done. And that's what the point here is that this is not the first time that pupils have spoken out about the behavior of certain teachers that have just remained in these positions. How many are we talking about? Do you know the number of young girls that have been affected?
So, because this probe is happening across 4 schools, we don't know the total number. A number of young learners are still coming forward. We have, as a department, made sure that we are providing psychosocial support for them, because this is important. Again, this is something so deep. It is very difficult for children who are in those situations to even speak up about these things, because teachers are in positions of power in schools. And so the fact that these children have drawn a line and said, we're going to report this matter, is something that, one, as a department, we need to applaud, but also we need to support them. So we have rolled out psychosocial support in these various schools. But as I've expressed to the MEC, we have to move with pace. And I'm glad that he has put them on precautionary suspension, because what I would hate is for children to report a matter and to have the very same educators in that very schools. So we don't have a total number. There are children who are still coming forward, but as allegations are made, we are also reporting simultaneously to the SABC.
So, Minister, you say you would hate them to not come forward and report this and that nothing's done about it, but this is the story, that they have come forward, they have tried to report it and say something, and nothing's been done. And this is where people's hands are tied, because you have got girls that, as I mentioned before, have been impregnated by male teachers. Some have been forced to have abortions, others expelled owing to a policy that prohibits pupils from attending school while pregnant, but the teachers got them pregnant. None of this makes sense to me. I mean, in this particular school, there has been what has been described as a rape culture for years, and the department was well aware of it, but did nothing. And it seems there's a culture of impunity. Why? What is going on? What are we doing about this matter?
And Leanne, and this is the point that I'm making, that the way in which we are dealing with sexual allegations and of sexual misconduct or rape, frankly, in schools, has been inadequate, in my view. Yeah. it's not enough to deal with this matter as a behavioral issue, as a misconduct for HR to deal with as a department. It's not enough. There's a criminal element here that has not been pursued. And that's why one of the things that I've said to the MEC that it's simply not enough for the HR process of you suspending the teachers. It's not enough because those teachers will come back. It hasn't been adequate the way in which we've dealt with these kind of cases in the past, not just in the Eastern Cape, but across the board. And so one of the discussion points that I had with the Minister of Police is that there has to be simultaneous involvement of the SAPs. And we have to help the SAPs make sure that they have successful prosecutions. Because the only way, Leanne, we're going to put an end to this rape culture as has been described is if people end up behind bars. Leanne, there's no reason why there should be children who are 12, who are 13, who are rocking up pregnant. That is statutory rape. It is as simple as that.
Yeah.
And so why aren't people ending up behind bars?
Yeah.
Because teachers must know if they take advantage of children, they'll end up in jail and they'll never work with children again. And so for me, that's been the missing critical element, that we've been dealing with these cases as an HR matter, but not a criminal matter. And for me, that's where we are going to put an end to this.
Can we confirm just very quickly that all of the teachers in the respective investigations that are taking place, not only necessarily at this school, but there are a few that have been accused, have they all been suspended? Are they not teaching at those schools anymore? We just want to find out if that is the case.
I've been assured by the MEC that he's made 7 suspensions.
Okay.
And all the teachers that have been accused have been put on precautionary suspension. But it must not end there.
No, it
we
mustn't.
must help the police with the prosecution.
I would love to see these teachers, these predators, because at the end of the day, there's no other word to describe them. They are predators, they are breaking the law, and they should not be allowed to be around our children. As you say, these are safe spaces, and yet they are predating on our children, and then our young girls get kicked out of school and can't get an education because they have made them pregnant. The Sexual Offenders Register, Minister, when is this going to be finalized? Up and running. We need this desperately.
Yeah. So the work that Minister Kubai is doing with our department is really commendable. I know that one of the things that she had wanted to do was to make that register public, but there are some amendments to the law that she would have to first deal. Is updated.
Oh, okay, we've just got you back. We lost you for a moment,
Okay.
but I think I can, because this is such an important point. Please do continue, Minister.
Okay. So we are working together with Minister Kubai to make sure that those two registers, the Sexual Offenders Register and the Child Protection Register, that they are.
Okay, all right. Unfortunately, we cannot get that last point, which is such an important point on that register. But we'll make sure that we do get that from the minister. She's back. She's back. But it looks like the time is up. Minister, I am so sorry. We've lost her. She's gone. The signal, unfortunately, not on our side with us, but we managed to get most of the interview done. But that Sexual Offenders Register, I think we need to put that back in the spotlight. We need to see where that is. There is no way that these predators can still continue to prey on our children in schools, and our children are the ones that are suffering the consequences. They're being kicked out of school. They are being impregnated. They are the ones that are going through all of this, while the teachers just continue to do what they do as they're meant to be safe spaces, but they're not, unfortunately, in these schools that are being mentioned. Our guest there was Siviwe Gwarube, who is the Minister of Basic Education, speaking to us about the latest sexual abuse allegations of female pupils at Eastern Cape schools.